Find vagina out!
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a very special slasher-filled episode of the Horror of Babylon, sponsored by Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, where we discuss Happy Death Day. I am Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Oh, you remember my name.
And some other names that I also remember. Thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
Oh, she makes it rain. And thank you to Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. And this episode is sponsored by Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com, and if you make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. Trigger warning, preppy sorority girls.
They are triggering.
That is the closest thing I could find to a trigger in this movie. Our history with Happy Death Day.
I saw the trailer for it. I thought it looked pretty interesting, but I never got around to seeing it. I can't remember why I didn't go see it at the time. Life probably just got away from me. I know that it had a lot of buzz in the slasher circles that I'm in.
Yeah.
Some people really seemed to like it. Some people thought it was okay, but generally I got positive vibes when I was hearing about the movie. And then I watched it for this podcast.
I saw it in 2018 when I was working at a school, and the kids there got to do reward things, and one of the reward things was movies, and this was one of the movies that we watched, and I didn't have a very good experience the first time I watched it. However, I was in charge of a group of kids, and which means, hey, stop talking, shut up, stop touching her, hey, shut up. So I don't think I really liked any movie that I watched with that experience. I liked it immensely more the second time, but we'll get into specifics.
The vampires are pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Okay, so background, this movie was released October 13th, 2017. It's directed by Christopher Landon, who also directed Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, Happy Death Day to You, Freaky, which is that slasher that was inspired by Cherry Falls, and We Have a Ghost. They also wrote Paranormal Activities 2, 3, and 4. This movie was written by Scott Lobdell, who wrote Man of the House, the Tommy Lee Jones one, not the Chevy Chase one, Mosaic, and Critters Attack. The original title of this film was Half to Death, and I am so glad they changed it.
Keep going. Sorry, that caught me off guard. That's such a bad title in comparison.
Originally, this movie was going to be produced by Michael Bay instead of Jason Blum.
I think they made the correct choice.
Yes, also. And here, this is the original ending. And the original end of the film, Tree is taken to the hospital after her encounter with Lori when she drop kicks her. No, she doesn't drop kick her, but when
like chandelier kicks her.
She chandelier kicks her out a window. The doctor tells Tree to stay away from pain medication for at least a day due to the extent of her injuries. After he leaves, a nurse comes in and starts to administer pain meds. Tree tells the nurse, "I can't have pain meds." And the nurse reveals herself to be the doctor's wife, Stephanie, and says it's for her own pain. And then she murders Tree in revenge for the affair with her husband.
Okay. Which
we get a version of that in Happy Death Day to You. But that version, that ending tested pretty negatively with test audiences, and of course they changed it for the theatrical version. And this movie made so much money.
Oh my god. I thought it seemed like a movie that would make money. I wasn't expecting that number.
So it had a budget of $4.8 million. So, you know, a modest horror movie. Like, it's all things considered, not a very expensive movie.
Yeah.
And it had a box office of $125.5 million.
Even if you take like the absolute maximum ends of like what marketing is supposedly costs these days, that's still over $100 million of profit.
Of course, this was 2017. So this was around the time that It Chapter 1 released and kind of rejuvenated like the horror going thing. Actually, this may have been like before, because they're both October, I think. It's 2017.
That might have been why I didn't end up seeing it, because I ended up watching it instead.
Okay. It came out the month before.
Okay.
So you can imagine that people are high on that movie, like want to go see another horror movie. And then this comes out a month later. So that may have had something also to do with it.
Yeah.
Not taking away from the movie itself, because I do think it's a decent movie.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Structure and themes. So this is a unique premise that's based on an old trope. What do you think of the premise?
I really like the premise, because it's basically just Higurashi, but a little funnier.
I don't remember what Higurashi is about.
It's about a time loop.
Oh, okay.
And they all die in increasingly horrible ways. Instead of it just being a day, though, it's like as long as this one character lives. And she reincarnates at different periods during that month.
I think they probably had Groundhog Day more in their minds than Higurashi.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what it reminded me of. Mm-hmm. Because before, when people would ask me what's Higurashi, I'm like, well, it's Groundhog Day, but a bunch of cute anime girls get stabbed to death. Now I'm just going to say it's Happy Death Day.
I liked it this second watch, but as I'm watching it, I did have a couple issues with it. But as I continued to watch it, I kind of changed my perspective on it, and I think I justified. So as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is interesting, but these kills are kind of boring. There's no gore. There's no real violence. They cut away every time. But like halfway through the movie, 3/4 of the way through the movie, I'm like, okay, but this movie isn't meant for me. This is like the perfect like middle school sleepover, like PG-13 horror movie.
You literally showed it at a school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it was like, if I look at it from that perspective, then I have like...
I would have preferred more gore and more kills, but that's the same vibe I got. It was like I'm trying to think of a good example, because Scream's kills are too extreme. But it did have screamy vibes, but we'll get into that. But it is very... Our target audience is not just teenagers, but teenagers that can actually go see the movie by themselves.
Yeah. So what about it is like typical of a slasher, and what's different for slashers?
The atypical thing is sort of baked into the premise. Is like you only have one person that's killed consistently, so she's always the final girl. Sometimes other people get killed as like a consequence of her actions.
Yeah, but not a lot.
But that doesn't happen too often. So you don't have like one killer going around killing a bunch of people and then the last girl who lives. Here's just the final girl until she gets it right.
Yeah, the killer only really wants to kill Tree.
Yeah.
And some people do die when they get in her way.
Yeah.
But
similarities are like they very obviously wanted a marketable mask. Like something that they could go, this is what our killer looks like. Like you got the ghost face mask and the hockey mask for Jason, and they're like babyface.
I don't know if I love the babyface mask, but it is unnerving.
It grew on me. I must have missed a line of dialogue because it wasn't until like near the end of the first movie where I was like, oh, it's their mascot?
Yeah, in like the first scene where she's walking on the quad, it shows them selling Bayfield Baby merchandise.
So I missed that at first. So I was wondering that for most of the movie, and then after I realized that, I was like, okay, that's kind of clever, but then I started to think, because this is just how my stupid brain works these days, what college uses a baby as a mascot? Like, it just like...
They actually got in trouble because what they used was too similar to a real one, and they got sued, I think.
Really?
Yeah, let me pull up the wiki real quick.
Because I'm just so used to it being like an animal.
Well, the schools have tended to like veer away from using like people-ish things
for a while.
Yeah, but generally that's more like ethnic stuff. The film, which is set in New Orleans and was filmed on the campus of Loyola University, New Orleans, has the killer wearing a mask that is nearly identical to King Cake Baby, the official mascot of the New Orleans Pelicans basketball team.
Well, why aren't they pelicans?
Because a pelican costume is hard to do. Yeah, so it's pretty similar.
That's pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of a specific, like, baby mascot.
I guess it exists, though.
But yeah. But I'm also not, like, a sports person. So.
I was sitting there going, like, just, like, statistically speaking, going, shouldn't this be like a bear?
The Bayfield Bears.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It was a stupid thought, but after that thought got in my head, I couldn't get it out. But now that I know people actually use ugly babies. Ugly babies.
Okay, so what's typical of it for slashers?
You got the masked killer.
Yeah.
This, I don't know if this is typical. It's got... Scream kind of brought this in to, like, mainstream. Not that they invented it, but, like, the reveal, like, who the killer is. And it's...
Scooby-Doo's been doing that since the 60s.
Well, I was also going to say there's Scooby-Doo-esque reveals. Because a lot of these times, like, you got, like, your red herrings, like, your obvious red herrings. Like, they very so obviously want me to think that either one of these two people are the killer, so that's not them. And then you go, okay, so who's left? It's that person. I figured out who the killer was in the first scene they were introduced.
I don't remember. I assume I didn't because I'm usually pretty bad at doing that.
Yeah.
But I will say that having not seen it for years, I did remember that it was the roommate right away.
Yeah. I'll bring that up when we get into characters. But you do get, like, those reveals, and you get the misdirections a lot, and some of the very, like, the specific unmasking, like, subtype of slashers. Unfortunately, a lot of slashers they don't have as much teeth as I enjoy, so the kills actually kind of felt kind of typical in this movie, where, like, the most brutal ones were just, like, a stabbing. And...
Well, part of my issue was that they were basically all stabbings.
Yeah.
There was like one or two that weren't.
But they aren't as visceral as you would imagine with, like, blood.
Yeah.
Or, like, gore.
Yeah, there was very little blood in this movie.
Because a lot of them are made to be marketed towards teenagers.
And I also think this one really was leaning towards being a comedy as well.
This was... I would just call this a comedy with, like, slasher elements.
I think on YouTube it's a black horror comedy.
Yeah.
Or horror black comedy. How do they... is a black comedy slasher.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
I would say that if you were, like, taking the elements of this movie, black comedy, it's more like 80% that, maybe 20% slasher.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Characters, Jessica Roth as Tree Gelbman. Overall, the acting in this movie is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I think she is pretty great. I think the thing about her is she's not only like that typical last girl, but she also has like a character arc and character growth in this slasher movie that
she's also kind of like at the beginning of the movie she's played as like first kill girl. Like she's the not a cheerleader but like a frat girl, cheerleader type, where she's a little bit bubbly head, superficial,
very selfish,
and those are the kind of people that usually get killed first in slasher movies because it's cathartic. It makes you feel good.
She's the type of guy who would never give the nice guy the time of day, but by the end of the movie...
she's going to have his baby. I loved that line.
I did too. I absolutely loved that line.
And if I make it through today, I'm going to have his baby.
His name is Carter. If I make it through today, I'm going to have his babies.
Which would sound weird to anybody else, but she's probably known him for like literal weeks now.
Yeah.
Or if not longer.
I think it was 16 days.
Yeah. Personally, to me, I feel like I would need to be in that loop a lot longer to get the timing down on all the fountains and stuff. But
yeah,
she seems more intelligent than me.
She also, like, unlike in like Groundhog's Day, where
he learns literally everything.
Yeah, but he has infinite time because Bill Murray doesn't die at the end of it. He just goes to sleep and wakes up. She dies and like carries over some amount of that damage every time. So she has a long clock, but she has a clock.
Yeah. I honestly thought that was pretty cool as sort of a what would you call it? A limit.
Yeah.
Because, in Groundhog, like, if she just wakes up then you have infinite time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you realize, my body's filled with scar tissue.
It helps with the tension.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the word I could not seem to find.
Okay. So yeah, I thought she was great. Like the first 5 minutes I was watching it, I was like, I wish this was Brittany Murphy. And I still kind of do. But
I think Brittany Murphy would have been great in this role.
Yeah. But no,
but only if I can't remember his name, the Chinese roommate.
Ryan.
Yeah, if Ryan was the boy instead of Carter. That way we could get noodle references.
Did you like Jessica? Did you?
Oh yeah, no, she did a great job.
Great.
I think she showed a surprising amount of range for being able to go from that superficial role to that kind of typical final girl role. I thought she was funny. She had good timing.
Yeah.
Which isn't always like the actors. It's the script, the directing, but the actor still has to deliver it.
Yep.
So, and the way she delivered the lines, I thought was really good. So.
Israel Brozard as Carter Davis. This guy is so nice. I want to have his babies.
He is very nice. I was thinking about. God, it must have been almost halfway through the movie, going, "This dude's super nice, but he still took a drunk girl back to his room." And then
he didn't do anything.
But then they addressed it.
Oh yeah.
Because until then, it's like I'm in this loop going,
yeah.
Okay, I mean, like.
Hiya! Happy Easter!
I guess if you were drunk too, it'd be one thing, but I'm sitting there thinking about it. And
no, that thought cross occurred to me too, but I was like, well, I'll just assume he was also drunk.
And then they address it, and I'm like, God, he's so nice, I actually believe him.
Yeah.
Is this what privilege is? I don't know what's going on.
He's way too awkward to have done something like.
Yeah.
He's like.
I like that the girl just assumed like that's her lifestyle.
Probably cut this out, but I don't think you molest somebody and then like fold their pants so that they don't get wrinkled. I mean, I guess you could, but
then his roommate, if Ryan comes in, it's like, you get some of that prime vagina, dickhead.
Okay, so yeah, he's great. Rachel Matthews plays Danielle Bozeman. She is so funny.
Yeah.
I adore her. My favorite kill is when they get into a cat fight and roll out in the road and they both get hit by a bus.
And she wakes up screaming because she's still mad.
I wish that Danielle also would have gotten stabbed at some point.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how that didn't make it into the movie.
She plays like that queen bitch pretty well.
Yeah.
What else has she been in, do you know?
Is that chocolate milk, Becky?
Skip breakfast. We all skip breakfast. The movie has some funny lines.
I love it when Tree sits down with like the French fries and the hot dog.
Live a little.
Some calories won't kill you. She looks familiar. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but she looks familiar.
She just had one of those faces where I was like, she seems like something I'd seen before. I'm not recognizing. I mean, I'm recognizing some of this, but I haven't seen any of it. And I guess I haven't.
This was her first movie.
Wow.
And Happy Death Day to You was her second movie.
Is she going to be in the third one?
I don't think that's ever been confirmed to happen. She did a voice in Frozen 2, and she was in 3 episodes of Batwoman. Not so much on the character, Rob Mello, who plays John Toombs, but what did you think of that, like, super obvious misdirect?
I feel like if they wanted anyone to believe it, they needed to build it up more. Mm-hmm. It's one of my... where I'm probably being too harsh on the movie for what it is. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, this is, like, the third red herring you've thrown at me since this movie started. It's obviously not him.
Yeah, I wonder, though, like, I tried to get Emma to watch this with me and she wouldn't, but I wonder how, like a
teenager.
Yeah, how they would react.
That's one of the reasons why I'm like, I'm probably being too harsh on the movie for what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then the actual killer is Ruby Modin, who plays Laurie Spengler. I really like the confrontation at the end.
Yeah.
Where Tree ceiling chandelier kicks her out a window.
I was a little sad because the loop she was in before was almost just so perfect with her reactions to everybody.
Yeah.
The poison cupcake I didn't guess, but the cupcake is what made me go, oh, that's the killer. Mm-hmm. Like, she's really obviously into your birthday. Everything is birthday themed.
Yep.
Like, that's why Toombs couldn't be. Like, how would Toombs know it's your birthday?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been too long since the first time I saw it. Like, I probably wasn't thinking about, like, who it was, because I was also working while I was watching
you were in a room full of freaking screaming children.
Yeah. But I probably wouldn't have been as insightful.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this movie scary?
No.
I think this is what, if not the least scary, one of the least scary movies we've watched. But I also don't think it's really intended to be scary.
I don't think it's trying to be scary at all. I think it's trying to be a slasher, and those aren't always the same. A lot of slasher movies are just fun to watch. They're not scary. It is trying to be entertaining.
So what my favorite kill was. What was your favorite kill?
That bus one is pretty good. I also like the police car chase.
Yeah.
Especially, like, the cop, like, I'm drunk, and he arrests her, puts her in there. Mm-hmm. And then just with the birthday candle and the gasoline. I think that was pretty fun. Yeah.
I like the guy who takes her up to his room, and then he gets stabbed while she's turned around in the Pleasure Palace or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Pleasure Palace.
That was also pretty funny.
But, like, aside from that, most of them just kind of felt the same. It's just like she goes somewhere and she turns around and the baby killer is there and he stabs her.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, she stabs her.
That's another sort of, like, horror trope, is, like, the killer's a Terminator. Mm-hmm. But then once you realize that they're just a person, then they're just a person again. Mm-hmm. You get that in Scream a lot, where it's like, the killers are doing stuff where you're like, they probably just broke, like, 6 ribs going after this girl, but we are supposed to believe that they're just human beings.
Yeah, but once the mask is off and they're just 2 girls catfighting in a bedroom, it's like, why were you ever afraid of this girl?
Like, how were you ever... Like, I can understand the times you were taken by surprise, but you shouldn't have been overpowered every single time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that girl is a good bit taller than Tree.
Yeah.
So I guess she's got that going for her, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Kiss Me Fat Boy. We're playing Fuck, Marry, Kill. We have easy mode, and then we have hard mode.
Okay.
Easy mode is Tree, Carter, and Danielle.
We're gonna kill Danielle.
Yeah.
I'd marry Carter and fuck Tree.
See, it's so easy. Like I have the exact same answers. That
I still want Tree to have. I still want Tree to have my babies though.
Well, I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
You want to set some roots with her?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's hard mode. Ryan, Tree's dead mom, and the babyface killer who must keep their mask on.
Is the killer Lori?
Yes, but she's gonna keep the mask on, so...
Okay, well, I'd fuck Lori. I'd kill the mom because she's already dead, and I guess I'd marry Ryan.
I don't think you can kill what's already dead. So I'm gonna have to choose Tree's dead mom. I guess I'll marry her because I think I could get an annulment on that pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll kill the babyface killer because she's a killer. And then I'll fuck Ryan because I think he needs it.
I think he also needs it, but I also think he needs to learn how to talk about women first.
I think he learns in this movie.
Yeah.
She tells him like, if you talk about women that way, you're going to get used to your hand.
But does he remember that because of the loop?
I don't know. We never, in the two movies, we never get past Tuesday the 19th, so it's hard to say.
My favorite was when she turned him around and spanked him.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz, I'm up first. My king is super easy. Fun vagina out!
My king is the dialogue or the jokes. I think I'm trying to think of a joke that I thought didn't land or at least wasn't funny, and I'm having a hard time.
It was generally pretty funny.
Yeah.
My Koontz... So I guess like early I would have said, oh, it's not violent enough, or oh, these kills are all the same. But as I said, like I kind of changed my perspective, and I'm not really the target audience for this movie. So if I had to choose a Koontz, I don't see any reason why they couldn't have had Daniel get stabbed one time.
Yeah.
Like I think that's something the audience wanted to see.
I'm just going to keep my Koontz the same, which was your original Koontz, is I think even with the audience they could have upped the violence by 5 to 10%, and it would have been just that much better of a movie.
That's fair.
Like, they didn't need to make it Saw, but it could have been a little bit heavier than this.
But our homework is, how would you make an R-rated version of this movie?
I would take some crime scene photos and be like, I want Tree to look like this when you're done.
Oh. Oh.
I would... I'd go to... oh, Jesus Christ. This might get the movie banned, but... I'd go to the incel forum where they talked about this one girl who got her head chopped off, and I'd be like, hey, we're going to recreate this scene.
Gross.
Yes.
So this is a college movie, and it's like one of the few like college movies I've seen that has basically no nudity and no sex.
Yeah, we just get that like streaking scene.
Yeah,
and it's very brief.
It's very brief, and you don't see anything, really.
Yeah.
Like the most like explicit sexual thing that happens is they imply that a dude is about to jack off.
Yeah. To gay porn.
To gay porn.
Because he's gay.
You're so gay, Tim.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love in this sequel. You're gay!
She was so much nicer in the previous loop.
I know. She's sick of it because Ryan sent her back.
Yeah.
I would definitely, being inspired by movies like Revenge of the Nerds, or like Animal House, or we need like some panty raids. We need some it's like a sorority shower scene where the babyface killer gets into the shower and stabs all the girls completely naked.
Oh, you know what? You should have some dude fucking a girl, or a girl wearing the babyface mask.
Yeah, that would be that scene. That happens like with the Darth Vader mask in the first Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So,
Okay, so for further reading, if you like Happy Death Day, what do you think what else would people like?
I think you'd like Scream. I think Scream's probably 2 degrees more intense than this. The Scream franchise, the kills are a little bit more brutal. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in the first one, but I'd have to rewatch it. But the bodies are definitely more, because they show like aftermath of murders. Like one of them is a dead girl hanging from a tree after being stabbed to death.
Yummy.
So, but it's like that next step up. But I also think Scream is intentionally funny, so you kind of get that comedy going. Some of the Friday the 13th are also sort of not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets are intentionally funny, because you got Freddy Krueger who's like wisecracking jokes as he's doing shit. Mm-hmm. I'd recommend stuff like that.
Okay. Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, this Sunday we are on our next Dark Tower book. We are reading Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. And then again, if you haven't heard, we are changing our Dark Tower rotation to every other month. We will not be reading the next book in May. We will be we'll be doing our episode the first Sunday in June. The Wind Through the Keyhole will be the first Sunday in June, and then The Wolves of Kala will be the first Sunday in August.
I did download it, and I saw that it was 10 hours, and I was like, why couldn't the last one be 10 hours?
Because then it would be 3 different books.
Yeah. That was just I was like, one of the reasons we were talking about doing this is because we were getting like 30-hour books.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to just jump into Wind Through the Keyhole. And probably the Wind Through the Keyhole is shorter than the Star Wars book I started today.
Yeah.
Between Wizard and Glass and The Great God Pan.
I finished The Great God Pan already. I'm reading it again.
And then the following Sunday, April 14th, we're reading the associated short story, The Little Sisters of Valoria by Stephen King. We're rolling face off against a group of vampire nuns. I don't know how he keeps making a habit of getting himself into these situations.
Now, this is what I call a sticky situation.
And then next Thursday, April 11th, we are doing Happy Death Day to You. And then the following Thursday, the 18th, we are back in the Treehouse of Horror of Babylon with Hex in the City, which is amazing. It's the first appearance in Treehouse of Horror of O'Reilly the Leprechaun.
Will you do your impression again real quick? Pretty good.
And who else is pretty good? But our patrons.
The best.
Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
And Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, who sponsored this episode, because at the tier they are at on our Patreon, they get to choose 2 episodes a month for us to review. This month was Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. You can visit them at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at forhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. Thank you, Daniel, for watching Happy Death Day and recording with me tonight.
I had a really good time. I was trying to think of another loop joke, but I couldn't.
I had a really good time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you think about it when she wakes up for the final time and he, fakes it?
I mean, that's so in character for him. It was really funny.
I might have actually, broken some of his teeth.
And she's like, oh no, I promised to have his babies.
Yeah, that's why I gotta have his babies. All right, thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.